Hey peoples, this is the one and only Icebound Glacian, and if you're looking, you'll just see my background right now. I'm going to show people how to install Dxtory in OBS with the proper settings which I use to record. So, yeah. Logan, you can suck a dick. Also, sorry, I'm with Xbox support and
How
Logan, the Ice
to
King in the Sky.
install
Wait, what? No. Dxtory in... You get ads? On like what? Alright. So what you do, for all those people that are scrub ass and the N word, I can't say it. Um, so once you have Dxtory, I'm using version 2.0.127. There'll be a newer one of 128. I don't know if there's really any differences. I can't get it currently. So basically, what you do is first of all you go to the Target tab and you click Ignore Settings, and you have to locate OBS and the 64-bit OBS as well. So what you'd have to do is you click Add New File Path. You'd open the folder location, and you would locate where the 32-bit one, which would say times 86, and you click on the actual .exe for OBS, and then you go up and you'd find the 64-bit, which should also be in program files, and you find OBS, and then you do the 64 bits .exe. And once you ignore both of them, they'll be in the ignore targets. The reason you do this is because Dxtory and OBS has conflictions because they both try to record the game at the same time, meaning that they're using the same files. You want Dxtory to ignore the files that OBS is using so they don't, overload your CPU or have problems that way. So once you've done that, you can go over to the overlay. Honestly, you can change what colors you want for recording. Nothing really you have to do there. It's default. You can go to the folder tab and you click on add folder. Then a folder should come up and you select wherever you want to save the videos to. So for me, I saved it to my videos folder. As you can see, I have a lot of videos in there. I do record a lot. I'm going to upload these 6 videos tomorrow, so they'll be going up next month because I pre-record in advance. If you haven't noticed by my channel update pretty shortly. And then you click benchmark, and then you click run. And you need to do this because your Dxtory needs to know how fast it can save a video to that folder without bootlegging your game or recording software. And it needs to know this. And once you've done the benchmark, you click OK, and then you can go to the next tab, which is the hotkeys. I have my start and stop movie capture to numpad 0 because, or sorry, to negative button, minus button, because no one ever uses that button, nor do I, so I use it for recording. I also use the delete button for my OBS recording as well to start and stop the stream. For the movie tab, you want to use default settings, so it uses it for all of them. And the frame rate, you always have it at 30 unless you're doing, higher intensity games and your computer can have it. You have like a beastly ass computer, then you could do it at 60 FPS. For the codec, I would have put a codec down below called X264. And what you do is you have to select the codec after installing it. Make sure when you install it that Dxtory is closed. And you click on this little wrench next to it. That should say configuration dialog box for the codec. And it should bring up a configuration menu. First thing you do is for a preset, you put it on ultra fast. Everything else you should leave the same except for on the rate factor. If you want higher quality, you can lower the number. If you're okay with sacrificing a little bit of quality for more speed, you can put it to higher. Honestly, I leave mine on the default because I noticed when you have it on lower quality, it also saves a shit ton of file size, even though my computer can handle it. For the log level, you put it on none instead of on debug. For output mode, make sure it's on VFW and the capital H264 for the VFW4 CC. And then for the extra command line, you'll want to put dash dash keyint and then space 15. The reason you have this is for, say, Adobe Premiere and Sony Vegas. They have some compatibility issues when you record an extremely small file size of a VLC file. And when you put this command line in, it won't have any issues anymore. I recorded a 3-hour long video, just finished editing, started rendering it, and I deleted the original video and, the edited video, which I was pissed off because that was my whole videos for 2 weeks. That was several years ago, though. I don't use Sony Vegas afterwards because of that. And you should click OK. Make sure it's on direct show outputs if you're porting it over to OBS. Otherwise, have it on file output so it just records just the game. And make sure it's on AVI because raw cap is for cap converter, which no one ever uses that. Raw cap file, don't use it, honestly. Don't synchronize video FPS because it'll make the game video FPS the same as the recording software. So if you have the frame rate at 30, the game will only run at 30 FPS. If you have your game at 60, and it'll only record at 60 FPS as well. Make sure you have the scaling on 100%. Don't worry about putting it on size, just put it on scaling percent 100. That should make sure it's recording the exact screen of your monitor, or the exact resolution of your monitor. Like right now, mine's recording at 1080 because my monitor is 1080. If you're using a laptop, you'll be using 720. Also, if you're using a laptop, you should probably not be using OBS and Dxtory at the same time. I would just use Dxtory. And I wouldn't use the x64 codec. I would use the lossless codec because you wouldn't have any lag while using it and your computer won't overheat. But you'll have a 5 times larger file size, and I'll show you guys how to do that in a later video. This is if you're using a desktop, because desktops can handle it and have better cooling. So once you've finished all that, head to the audio tab. Make sure you select, if you're using, if you're using the OBS as well as Dxtory, make sure you have only your speakers, your default speaker device. If you're using just Dxtory, make sure you add an audio stream and select your microphone as well, so it records your microphone and your desktop audio, which is what you hear. And for both, make sure that they're only recording 44.1 hertz 16-bit stereo. The reason you do this is because on YouTube it brings down the quality to 44.1 hertz anyways, and it's going to take longer for it to render on YouTube anyways because it's going to downscale it. So there's no point in recording it higher and wasting the extra, 10 megabytes of data storage. If you're using it only for Twitch for live streaming and you're not recording it on YouTube, you can put it to 48 or 96. There's really no point, but yeah, because Twitch goes up to 96, but they don't usually do that. You'd have to have it 1080p as well, and I think also you'd have to have purchased the Turbo Twitch or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. It says Go Turbo and stuff. Screenshot, don't worry about it. It's just default settings. For the CPU tab, the advanced tab, apparently I forgot to change this, but processing threads, I gotta put it on use default. Processing threads, you want to have it on 4, depending on how many CPU cores you have. I have a 4 core, so I have 8 threads because you double the number. Laptops usually only have 2 cores, whatever. I have 8 threads, so yeah, I just put it to 4 unless you don't know, then just put it to 2 if you don't know. You could also just Google your CPU and see how many threads it has or how many CPU cores. You just double the number of CPU cores. Multi-GPU fixed code, you only do that if you're using a integrated graphics card. If you're using a dedicated graphics card and a CPU, you wouldn't use this. It's only if you're using, say, a Intel integrated graphics, usually on laptops or AMD computers. Forced CPU processing, that's if you want to only load it through the CPU, that's pretty much useless. That's also for integrated graphics. I wouldn't worry about it. Limit video FPS, I wouldn't worry about that either. So pretty much everything on this tab's okay. Global settings, don't really touch this. It's fine. Licenses, don't worry about it. I'm just going to clear my errors because I don't like having error messages. But yeah, that's pretty much everything for Dxtory. If you want to have it set up with OBS as well, I'll show you that right now as well. I'll bring up OBS on the left-hand screen, and you'll see a little bit derpy because, I'm recording it with OBS and streaming at the same time. So what you'll want to do is you want to go to the bottom right where it says Video Settings on Dxtory. Click it. It should be the little yellow button. Make sure you're porting it out as the preset 1920 1080p HD TV. That's if you have a 1080p monitor. If you have 720, you can just put it on custom. And make sure it's 16 by 9, I believe. Yeah, 16 by 9 resolution. And you'll put the width to 1280 and the height to 720. And that's just going to port it out, and you click OK. And that should start porting out video to OBS. And once you're in OBS, you'll see if you go add video capture device, you click OK. And I go, you see, I have Dxtory video 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And when I do those, it will port any video that Dxtory is porting into OBS, and it will do it at a much better quality because Dxtory has, I think, the best codec for least amount of lag and lowest file size for video, but Dxtory doesn't have the best audio codec, so that's why I used OBS's because OBS's isn't the best, but it's better. And you could also stream and record it, and I can modify, like, I could just go, like, I don't know, add image, click OK, browse, pictures, and I can go to, like, GIFs, and just, like, add a fucking EV if I wanted to. Like, why not? Like, just fucking gigantic EV on the screen, like, ain't nobody care. But yeah, remove the EV. So yeah, I'm gonna move, I'll show you guys the settings as well. Move OBS to the left hand side, and I'll show you the settings just so it's not all derpy. Okay, so what we'll want to do is in encoding, we'll want to make sure it's on times 264 using CBR and enable CBR padding as well. For the bit rates, if you're using it in 720p, you want to have the bit rate at 1400 or less. I'm recording at 1080, so I have it at 1800 because you have to have it between 1800 and 2600. If you go to your browser and you go to speedtest.net, you can check your streaming quality, like how good your upload is. You want to have it to 50% of that at most. Never have it at more. Otherwise, if you're playing a multiplayer game, it will completely bootleg your game. For the audio encoding, you want to have an AAC bitrate of 128 and have the format on 44.1. Channel always stereo. Unless you have surround, then you can do that as well, but I don't have surround. If you're using a CPU processing, you want to put it on quick sync. If you have a graphics card, just put it on times 264. It's much easier that way. For broadcast settings, you'd want to go to the mode live stream, Twitch, and then you can go to, you put your key path. The way you find that is go to Twitch, you go to your stream key, and you'll have to enable stream key, and you'll have to copy and you'll have to paste it here. If you're having stream problems with your stream and it's just not recording good enough, you can go to one of these locations that are faster to you because this is connecting to servers and stuff. I just put it on the top one because why not? It doesn't really matter for me. I'm also saving the file because I'm streaming while recording, so I have it automatically saving it to my folder. And also I have a refill buffer, you know, if it crashes or whatnot, and it goes there. If you're just recording it, you could just put it on mode, you put it on file output only, and it'll record it, and you don't have to worry about this stuff down here. Make sure you go to video tab. If you're doing 720p quality, make sure you're having a resolution downscale of 1.5 to 720. So it would downscale the resolution so it's a much smaller file size. If, you know, you also have the base resolution on 1080p if you're monitoring 1080p. If it's 720, then put it on 720 by 1280. Make sure there's no resolution downscale if you have a laptop. And then again, you shouldn't be using this method if you have a laptop. For the audio tab, just put everything on default. I have mine configured a certain way so it can record the Skype call, the game, and my microphone audio. So that's why I have it set up like this. I don't believe they can hear the Skype call. You guys still here? Okay. Yeah, actually they can't hear you. That's cool. I'll put it. Yeah, they can't. False. Let's see. For the advanced tab, I honestly wouldn't touch anything here. Actually, for the scene buffering time, change it from 700 to 400. And that should be it for that. It's quick sync, you shouldn't have that unless you're using only CPU and not a graphics card. Noise gate, don't worry about it. You can just click OK. And that should be all the settings for OBS done. So now you should be able to record both at the same time and having a much smaller file size. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment. I'll be putting links to everything down below. OBS is free, Dxtory is paid for. I believe it's like 15 bucks. If you really want to, I don't endorse this, but you can find a crack of it. Is it actually $40? Shit. Okay. But yeah, apparently it's $40. And yeah, you can obviously find a crack. I'm not going to put a link to that because I'll get the video taken down or whatnot. But I will put a link to OBS, and if you see mine's 64-bit, All I did is I right clicked on the little icon on the shortcut on my desktop. I clicked properties and I got rid of the brackets where it says times 86 in the brackets, so it just says, program files, OBS, obs.exe, and then you click apply, then you click OK, and when you open it, it should run it in 64-bit instead of 32. Only do that if you have a 64-bit computer. So I'll see you guys next time, and bye.